Welcome, everybody, and welcome to 20 Pages, or should I say, my lair. My cat's not really a big lap person. As you saw, she kind of freaked out as soon as I said welcome. But, what is up, guys? Oh, God, cat hair. Ugh. It's also a problem having facial hair. It, attaches to your face. Anyways, what is up, guys? We're going on to the next part of 20 Pages in Crushing It. I got so much cat hair. Ugh. So, going right into it, we got 3 points today. We're going to nail them down, starting with content. Yesterday, I did mention that there was a total of 8 essential structure points in making your brand. And the 8th point is going to be content. It's kind of weird. I just realized whenever you look at it, you can either read content or content. American language is so difficult. Anyways, so making content. Whenever you're making content, you want to make sure that you're making, first off, a lot of good, valuable content. And then second off, which we're already going to go into the second point, you're going to want to use a lot of different platforms. Now, if you're only using one platform, you're not going to reach a huge audience that way. You will have some people that you're going to be reaching to, but not a wide variety of audience. And a lot of your audience members like using different platforms. So, whenever you look down to the multiple platforms, there's use one major pillar. GaryVee points out a very good point whenever you're using social media branding, which I'll pop up a little picture right. Yeah. It's pretty much a little pyramid, and it shows how you're going to be structuring your social media branding. So starting with the very top is going to be your main pillar. That's where you're going to be pretty much providing the most content. That's pretty much where you're going to be structuring your whole brand through that one platform. And then you're going to break it down using 2 or more platforms right underneath it. So the main platform is going to be that first one. I'll use an example after I explain it. So then you go down to the second one, and this is going to be a different social media platform. And then right below it, you're going to use a different social media platform. Now let's try to use 20 Pages as an example. So my first major pillar is going to be YouTube. That's where I'm making most of my content. That's where most of the value is going to be given. Now, whenever I break it down, at the end of my videos, you might notice that I always say, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. And that's exactly my next 2 points, or my next 2 platforms that I use. So right below it, you're going to be using, or in my case, I'm going to be using Instagram. That's my next major platform. Then underneath that, we have Facebook. It should be Facebook and then Instagram in my case, but I've noticed I'm getting a bigger following in my Instagram feeds than my Facebook, which I will definitely improve on in the future. But that's kind of an example of having a social media platform structure, where your first one is going to be the major platform where you're going to be providing most of your value, most of your content. Now, whenever you have all these different layers of social media, you want to be using different content on each. You don't want to be copying and pasting all your content in each single platform, because it's kind of getting dull and it's kind of boring. It's all the same. It's repetitive. If you have an audience that follows all 3, then they're going to get bored of seeing the same thing over and over, and for them, it's just going to be like, why don't I just follow one of your feeds? But for the audiences that like using variety of platforms that sometimes don't use Instagram, sometimes that don't use Facebook, sometimes that don't use YouTube, you break it down into certain platforms where you reach that greater audience. And that's why, I didn't even put it up there. But yeah, that's why you want to make sure you're using different variety of content for each single platform. Now going on to the next sub-point, which is going to be document and don't create. So whenever you're going to be creating yourself brand, or your brand I should say, whenever you're branding using different platforms, make sure, as I said before, be authentic with your audience and show more of yourself. Because if you're just posting all about your business, all about your brand, people are going to kind of get bored, and I mean, they're going to be interested in your brand, but they want to see more. They want to see the behind the scenes. That's why whenever you're using like Instagram, for example, you have your standard posting where you can post a bunch of your Instagram photos, a bunch of your promoting stuff, but then there's the Instagram story feature where you can pretty much make a short video within your day about yourself, about what's going on in your life, what you're planning next for your brand, whatever have you. It's just showing the more behind the scenes of actually who's running the brand behind the scenes. And then I kind of want to go on to the next point, which is going to be the second point, which is going to be Rich Roll. I'm not going to go too in depth about his story, but I'll pretty much give a little basic premise. He was a lawyer that graduated college and did everything he had to do, and then he was a lawyer for a few years, and he thought that was his dream job. After a while, he got super disappointed, super miserable, and realized there has to be something more to his life. And because of his successes in the lawyer field, there was an actual good example where he was going up a flight of stairs, and he noticed that he got super tired just going over one flight of stairs, and he realized he's not healthy. And once he noticed that, which, like I said in the previous videos, first you have to acknowledge your problem before you fix it. Attention and acknowledging it. And once he realized his problem, he decided to change his diet, change his habits, and start becoming a more healthy individual. Mind you, this guy was about 40 years old at the time, maybe a little above 40. And whenever he started going on to his dieting phase, and he started becoming more healthier and becoming more active, a lot of people around him started noticing, like, wow, you're super fit for a 40-year-old. Like, how are you doing this? Can you teach us? What are you doing? And that's what struck him. He's like, that's interesting. There's a lot of people out there that are of his age bracket that aren't healthy, and they don't know how to be healthy. So what he started doing was making a social media brand based off being healthy in your later years. And he started making a huge following that way. More cat hair. He started making a huge following that way, and eventually he actually gained interest of a certain individual, which I have the note here somewhere. Oh, here it is. He gained the interest of Sanjay Gupta. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing. He's a chief medical correspondent of CNN. And Sanjay realized what he was doing, and he was interested, and he actually asked Rich to do an interview with him on CNN. This was huge for Rich because he did not expect this to explode like that. And because of that, actually, whenever he got that interview, it put him into perspective of actually putting a time constraint on his goals, which then he kind of was pressured to providing value. So, for example, whenever he had this interview, let's say it was a week from now, and he knew he has a certain amount of time to create really good content in that time, he had to make sure it was really good, and it kind of put him into gear and started making him work to make that interview work, which kind of explains, or kind of relates to my story. I can't tell you guys just yet, but that was kind of a teaser right there. But going on to the third point, what is stopping you? Whenever you're making your social media brand, what the hell is stopping you? There should be literally nothing. If you're super passionate about what your idea is, super passionate about what your hobby is, whatever it is, you would literally do anything and everything to make sure that you pursue your passion and make a living out of it. That is simply how you start crushing it, like GaryVee says. Because if you kind of just set it aside, dude, it's a dead thought. It's never going to be anything. Quit having limiting beliefs and start believing in yourself, and stop doubting. Like I said in the law of attraction, stop creating that resistance towards that idea. The more resistance you put into it, the less you believe in that idea. So stop giving yourself excuses such as these, which I'll start kind of listing them off. I'm so unprepared. Not really. But you got excuses such as, I have a full-time job, I don't have any money, I have kids, I don't have time, and so on and so forth. You see the list. Stop giving yourself excuses. Although you have that stuff going on in your life, you have all the reason to still be working after hours when you have leisure time. Instead of sitting, watching Netflix, watching Game of Thrones, start working on your brand, as I said in the last video. And you're simply creating those limiting beliefs that are stopping you from pursuing your dream. Quit doing that. Start pursuing your dream. Start making things happen. Start realizing that there's a bigger picture to life than just working your 9-to-5 job. Maybe eventually this, whatever your brand is going to be your 9-to-5 job, but at that point, it's not a job. You know that saying, once you're passionate about something, you like to say it's not a job, it's your hobby. You love doing it. That's the main premise, you know? You want to be happy doing what you're doing in life. You don't want to be miserable. You want to live the life you want to live. That is pretty much all I have for you guys today. I probably spewed out a lot of information super quick, but it's hard to fit a lot of information in a 5 to 10 minute time constraint, but it kicks me into gear and makes me think a lot faster in order to provide valuable content. So guys, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and please subscribe on YouTube. You guys are amazing. I love your support. As I always say, you guys are awesome.